The problem is most of us don't have that natural protection. So then we're faking it with a lot of things, or we're trying to induce it with a lot of things. And then it's all that beating skin into submission.
It's not going to work in the long run. Can't do it with a person, can't do it with skin, can't do it with your gut microbiome. Welcome to Keep It Simple Sexy, where I make wellness advice, well, simple. I'm Christine Bullock, fitness trainer, founder of KO Body Care, and mom of 3 little girls. Welcome to my inner circle of elite experts, doctors, and naturopaths who share actionable steps that you can implement immediately into your life to improve your well-being. This is the Keep It Simple Sexy podcast. This episode is brought to you by KO Body Care, the leader in face-grade body care and supplements for total body wellness. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Keep It Simple Sexy. I'm still digging this intro music. I'm always jamming as we're going. What do you guys think about it? Please let me know in the comments below. Well, today we are going to a boot camp, but not the kind of sweat-inducing boot camp I would normally bring you. It's time for your microbiome boot camp. Don't get too excited, guys. You'd be living under a wellness rock if you haven't heard of the importance of the gut microbiome health. Well, the skin also has a microbiome, and its health and stability is just as important when thinking of your beauty and the aging process. Since I hit 40, I noticed my epidermal layer becoming weaker and thinner, and it was like leading to faster signs of aging, like more redness, discoloration, and wrinkles. I couldn't catch up. This is caused from beauty burnout, where we're using too many products or doing too many treatments, and it begins to break down that epidermal layer. And it makes sense because anything in excess isn't great. So it's been my main mission before I met today's guest to rebuild that epidermal layer and repair my natural microbiome so it can do the work that I thought the products were doing in the past. I want my skin just to do the work on its own. So it was perfect timing when I was introduced to Dahlia Devkota, a former beauty editor who just so happens to be related to a leading microbiologist, and together they created Editrix. Editrix is all about bringing the skin back to homeostasis to strengthen its natural abilities, like protecting against inflammation, pollution, oxidation, and general aging. It simplified the product offering with 4 powerhouse products. That's it. 4 powerhouse products that are a rehab for your skin and promise a much needed glow up. Dahlia Devkota is the founder and CEO of Editrix, a microbiome-focused luxury brand that uses advanced science to rehabilitate the skin. Dahlia is a former beauty editor and writer, and after many years reporting on the front lines of beauty for such titles as Allure and W Magazine, Dahlia stepped away from the industry. She was lured back, aren't we all, into beauty as a brand founder when she saw a white space on the market, skincare that addressed skin's native function through the pathway of beneficial bacteria. Collaborating with her sister, Dr. Suzanne Devkota, who is the world-renowned authority on the gut microbiome, Dahlia began extensive R&D on the skin microbiome. And after much research, she became thoroughly convinced that this was the most direct and effective pathway to skin health. And the brand was born, a highly concise and curated line of products using postbiotics from human beneficial bacteria to revolutionize skin. Welcome to the show, Dahlia. I'm excited to break this down today.
Thank you, Christine. It's so awesome to be on your show.
And I have to start and say, we just had lunch a few days ago, and
we met, and we could have talked for the entire day, I feel like.
Yes, I agree. And for days to come. I mean, your background, one, is so interesting. Being in the beauty business, like, we could discuss so many things that we've tested and tried, and so many myths, I think, and what's really working now. And I think I'm so excited for this today because I really want people to hear this. I feel like the beauty business is not so beautiful sometimes, as we kind of talked about in our lunch. And there are trends and their marketing, especially with like influencers right now. People are very confused on what to buy because it's like what they're seeing. But what I love what you're bringing to the table right now is like science, which I think is called honesty, right? It's the base of it. It's so much great science, but it's also honesty for your skin. It's not a bunch of stuff. It's like getting back to the basics, which for common sense usually works, right?
Exactly.
Let's back up a little bit and tell me about your glamorous life in the beauty world, how you got into the beauty biz.
I moved to New York, in my 20s as a journalist, and knew I wanted to work in fashion journalism. Didn't even know that beauty editing was a thing. Started interviewing for jobs, and Linda Wells, if anyone knows, founding editor of Allure, was the first person to hire me in the industry. And lo and behold, I entered the beauty world full throttle. Even though in my life, always since I was little, obsessed with wellness and health and beauty, but didn't know I could do this as a career. So yeah, that really began my journey as an editor, and did that for many years until I just felt like I was ready to sort of try something new. We're always growing and changing. So I just wanted to turn my journalism chops to documentary filmmaking. I sort of just stepped away for a bit, but I do love the industry. I love the people in the industry. I love other editors, and it just drew me back. We can get into how that happened, but yeah, beauty has always had a hold on me.
Well, what actually did draw you back in the sense of dreaming up Editrix?
So I did not start out to ever think I would be a business owner or a brand founder. I always really just considered myself a writer and a journalist, and just always curious about other people's stories. But as I was exploring these new avenues for myself, my sister was graduating from Harvard with her PhD. And the research she was doing was insane. She's at the forefront of so much research that is yet to come out. But, I'm always hearing about it. And because I am a journalist, always asking her questions like, how does this work? And how are you gene editing bacteria to affect obesity? Just really innovative stuff.
I would love your family dinners.
Yes. My dad's a doctor. My husband's a doctor. A lot of stuff happening in our family. So yeah. Science talk is pretty normal for us. So I just asked her, I was like, can we go out to dinner once a week? She lives in LA as well. And can we just talk bacteria? Because I'm so interested. And I knew we had a skin microbiome, and I wanted to know how all these things were affecting. How does the sun affect it? How does all this affect our microbiome? So as we got into it and got really curious, we just started doing some R&D. And through that discovery, really I started to see a white space in this industry that, yes, there are microbiome products out there, but I didn't feel like there was a full system of how to protect the skin in the first place and then how to address what's missing. So I really curated this brand idea around this concept.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. Okay. So some people are like, microbiome what? Or micro what? So let's back up a little bit and talk, what is a microbiome?
So I think most people are familiar that we have a gut microbiome. Yes. Mm-hmm. So it's a collection of good bacteria, bad bacteria, virus. It's all of that stuff that's sitting on the skin. It's an invisible ecosystem, literally living on the surface of skin and down into the body as well. It is pathogenic bacteria. It's viruses. It's good bacteria. It's fungi. It's just, it's its own little jungle that we can't see, but it is really there to keep our skin in homeostasis and keep everything in balance. So you don't want any one species taking over. So there's a checks and balance.
We know that from The Last of Us. If you guys saw the show on Netflix with a fungi.
Fungi.
Nightmare. Yeah. Okay, so guys, really tune in unless you want to turn into a big fungi today.
That's sci-fi, but the concept is sort of true.
It could happen. Yeah. I'm that's the most reality-based sci-fi I've ever seen. Yeah.
So my sister talks about how, the end of humanity could really be antibiotic resistance, because you really let superbugs grow and take over, and things as simple as surgery can't happen, because you can't take an antibiotic. So the same thing is happening on the skin. You can't, there are versions of antibiotics we put on our skin. It's like too many beauty products, too much chemicals obliterate our natural ecosystem. And that's sort of the concept, is we want to keep protecting that and let it flourish and let it protect you.
So then what is what are the symptoms that we see when we know we need a rehab for a microbiome? What kind of breakdown are we looking at?
It's pretty wide and varied. So I've had customers, psoriasis, eczema, adult acne, severe teenage acne. You name it. A lot of it comes from this imbalance. So what I find is a lot of people are running to their doctors and no hate against doctors, because I love doctors. They're all in my family, but I think the first impulse is to run to fix something with a medication.
Which can break it down more.
Exactly. So I know there's a need for medication at some point for severe cases, but my first thing I always tell people, I plead with them, is try to rehab your microbiome first, and let's see if it can do the healing first before you step into something severe like, Accutane or something.
People want a quick fix instead of, actually treating the cause. Like they're treating the symptom instead of treating the cause. 100%. For me, and I truly, like at 40, like it's not like you can see that your epidermal layer is thinner, but I guess just from general awareness about it. Yeah. I mean, you can see sometimes when it's in, but it's just like, it's more ruddy. You're seeing more fine lines.
It's dry.
It's dry.
So the first sign so there's a whole, we could step back and really break it down, but you have that chemical barrier. So there's 4 layers to your barrier. So when people talk about protecting the barrier, what are you talking about? There's the microbiome barrier, which is the bugs. That's living on your acid mantle, which is a chemical barrier. And that acid mantle is a major component to your microbiome. It's the home of the microbiome. So acid mantle, as the name says, has to remain slightly acidic to remain strong. So, and beneath that, you have your physical barrier, which is the living tissue, the dead skin. And then you have the immune barrier. So we don't really talk about that, but the skin has immune cells. Your skin's a living thing. So this is why I'm very adamant about not being overly aggressive with skin. As you are overly aggressive with skin, it sends off inflammation. And those alarm bells send the immune cells in the skin to alert the body's immune system. So it all works in harmony. Jeez. So we have to treat the skin. You can't carve into it like a piece of dead wood. Like it's something living, breathing. It's really that first line of defense in so many ways, really for our overall health.
I mean, that even makes me think of like just the immune layer that you're saying. So every time we're doing something like microneedling, lasers.
That's different. That's different.
Really? Okay. So let's get into that in a second then. So tell me what breaks down the microbiome.
Oh my God. The list is long. Too many chemicals on the skin. So, they say the average woman puts on something like 20 different products on her face. From
makeup too, exactly.
Yeah, from a cleanser to all the makeup, the contouring, all this stuff. Think about how many products are going on skin, and each product has their own preservative, chemicals. Especially if you're not doing clean beauty. There's even clean beauty. You have to think about preservatives break down your microbiome. So
the natural preservatives, yeah,
exactly. So preservatives are necessary. We need them in skincare to keep the bad bacteria away. But if you're layering so many versions, and everyone uses different types of, there's very simple preservatives. There's phenoxyethanol, can get a little more disruptive, and then it goes up from there. So who knows what everyone's using? So that's one, too many products. Aging alone can sort of mess up your microbiome. And because as you age, the acid mantle naturally your skin naturally gets more alkaline as you age. So the acid mantle cannot be as robust. So that's part of why the pH is so important of skincare. I put the pH on all my bottles so everyone knows. And most people don't know that that's even important. So bringing your skin back down the pH scale is incredibly necessary.
What pH scale should that be?
So 5.5 is the very top of it, but you don't want to go below a 4. So you don't want to be too acidic where you're peeling off layers of skin, but you don't want to go above a 5.5 where it's now alkaline, and alkalinity is basically melting that acid mantle off.
And there's no way to find that from other skincare brands if it's not on there, right? I bet they have no idea.
A lot of Asian brands, because they're very aware of this and they use ferments and they're a little more advanced with this, they do address it, but I don't know if everyone lists it on their products.
This is right here. pH 4.2.
Exactly. So for example, if you're using just a straight soap, like some people wash their face with soap, that's a pH 11. So just imagine just that act alone, you're decimating your microbiome.
Wow. And I think one of the things too that I've read is over cleansing can break down.
Yeah, because
So what is over cleansing? Is double cleansing over cleansing?
No. So as long as double cleansing is the oil, starting with an oil and ending with so that's perfectly great. As long as the second cleanse you're doing, the double cleanse, is in that pH range.
Okay. Because it's like bringing it back, basically bringing back the pH before you're done with whatever, skincare kind of stuff that you're doing.
Yeah.
How about exfoliation? Sounds like that would.
Yeah. So I'm not a big fan of doing it too much. I think it's necessary maybe once a week. I like a very soft chemical exfoliation, like a BHA.
Like a lactic acid?
Yeah, lactic acid's great.
Papaya, pumpkin. Okay.
Very minimal, but not like a daily glycolic wash, and then on top of that scrubbing and then going in for a microderm. And people do this and then they wonder why they're overly dry or why they have fine lines. Acne. Yeah, acne. All this inflammation we cause a lot of the problems. So I often say it's better to do nothing than to do too much.
I love that, because everywhere else in life, that is not the theory, right? So if we can do it for our skin, amen. I think that's why I've been like searching for this. I'm like, I just need to simplify everything. Everything else is too complicated. My beauty routine does not have to be. And I guess that's why the podcast, keep it simple, sexy. I am on a mission to simplify.
Can I tell you the one thing, sorry to interrupt you, but as you keep fortifying that skin barrier and the microbiome, your skin gets better and better and better. So I'm like getting close to 50 right now. I'm 48.
You guys have to tune into YouTube. She's beautiful. And we met, she had like no makeup on, like absolutely gorgeous.
I put a little bit on for you today. But in my daily life, like zero. And honestly, like I don't need concealer. I don't know. My skin is the best it's ever been. Like I would never want my skin of my 20s because it's much better now.
Wisdom, right? Comes with it as well. Like, you know what to do now. So in going back to exfoliation, do you use the manual exfoliants as well? Do you believe in that? So going to tear down more?
There's a lot of caveats with those. I like a very, very gentle, like natural, like nothing with sharp edges.
Jojoba bead.
Or like rice powder is an amazing one. Something that sort of dissolves as you're washing.
An enzyme, yeah.
So something, and I would say once a week, twice a week, just not something that you're doing on a daily basis.
Yeah, I love that. I see that maybe coming in your product future at some point to educate people. Yeah, I mean, because it's hard to find things like that. Everything is hardcore. Everything has to work like you said. Like the doctors are going to prescribe you medication right away, or product has to just have this like miraculous kind of thing. But when you're just gently taking care of yourself, it's much, much better.
Well, Christine, you and I live in Los Angeles. And so this is the mecca of plastic surgery and I will sometimes be in Beverly Hills and all the doctors' offices are there and I will see these women and you can tell they've just had the top couple layers of their skin they're just shiny.
I know. And years ago, it was even worse because the treatments were so intense that it was like, and then you saw those women start to age out like another decade and their skin is so thin. It's beautiful. It is shiny. It is like white, but it's like see-through and it's thin. It's so thin.
You're accelerating aging. Yes. Looks amazing in the moment, right? But then forward 5 years, 10 years, that is accelerated aging. And those are the people that are then turning to the knife. Which there's a place for that too. But my whole thing is preventative. Keep your skin as healthy as possible. So even if you are doing plastic surgery, your skin is going to heal like this. And the texture, something like plastic
better
is going to lift, but you can never fake good texture on skin.
Yes. And Adela Crown, we actually had on the show as well. And she's like a top facialist over in Europe, all around the world, actually. But that was the same thing. The one thing she looks for in youthful skin is like what you're saying. It's like the texture, the thickness of it, to really tell her what your habits are and how she needs to help you. Exactly. So let's talk about, I guess there's so many questions I have, just break down in the microbiome. What about retinol?
Yeah, so I get this question a lot. I'm not a big fan of retinol. So in our serum, I put bakuchiol, which is a plant-based retinol alternative. I think retinol is too aggressive. It turns over the skin way too much. Your skin's just not meant to turn over that fast. And so the quality of skin, if you're turning it over that fast, the quality that you're pushing up is not the greatest. So I think in the long run, retinol looks great in the moment. It's the gold standard according to many people, but I think it accelerates aging in the long run. So we have to look at skin on, what's the paradigm here? What are we looking at? Are we looking for a short-term goal? Are we looking to like age, optimally?
Yeah. It's funny. And yes, there are some beauty experts I've had on that go through a retinol. Or again, back to Adela, I just remember hers because it was different. She only did it in the winter for a few weeks. And that was the one time a year. And I really loved that. But recently I was speaking with somebody and they didn't do retinol. I've been off retinol and I've been on retinol. Well, on and off, I will say, but when I worked in the beauty biz, when I was in my early 20s, it was really beautiful women saying, use retinol. Like it was a common thing. Right. But recently I'm just like, I don't want to use this for my skin. It just seemed, I just wanted like moisture, ceramides, like, things that were bringing simplified things back to my skin and seeing where I could do. It's like a scientific experiment all the time.
Yeah, exactly. So, the stronger your skin barrier is, the dewier your skin is, the less fine lines. It's because it's holding all that moisture in. Your skin's natural hyaluronic acid, it's holding it all in. So you will have like that springy texture to your skin will naturally be there. But the problem is most of us don't have that natural protection. So then we're faking it with a lot of things, or we're trying to induce it with a lot of things. And then it's all that beating skin into submission.
It's not going to work in the long run. Can't do it with a person, can't do it with skin, can't do it with your gut microbiome.
It won't work. So it's your skin's going to like react at some point. It's going to fight back at some point.
The Keep It Simple Sexy podcast is brought to you by KO Body Care. 'Tis the season for hot summer days, which can lead to dry skin. My go-to for instant hydration from shoulder to toe is KO's Vital Hydration Serum Mist. It's a hydrating serum that you can quickly mist all over your body and go. This mist is made with natural, high-quality, face-grade skincare ingredients that are designed to revitalize your skin and provide essential moisture for your body. Simply mist the spray onto your face, your neck, and your body for an instant burst of hydration. Our formula is free of harsh chemicals and is suitable for all skin types. Perfect for a midday pick-me-up, post-workout refreshment, or before a big event. I always keep one in my pool bag for any time I'm in the sun. Order now and receive a 20% discount using the code KISS20, that's code KISS20, at kobodycare.com. Vital Hydration Serum Mist is going to be your new favorite lightweight hydrator with benefits. Back to the treatments that I kind of started off with. So then what kind of like in-office treatments are great or not great? Because I would think like the microneedling, I got it on Monday. And okay, that causes inflammation. That's the whole point. But now I'm thinking about it. And if there is an immune layer in there and you're doing that over and over again, I'm constantly creating this immune reaction, which my skin is then not, if you do that over and over again, then your skin doesn't, any kind of system doesn't know how to actually respond normally if you're causing it, too much and it breaks down.
Well, I think the key word you use is over and over again. So like modality, I think microneedling is great in a yearly cycle. I like it because you're still working within the body's mechanisms. You're producing these micro injuries to force the collagen to regenerate. I like working within those mechanisms, but it's doing it at a normal pace. It's not trying to like accelerate it. It's going to do a natural healing. But again, you don't want to overdo this. You don't want to microneedle your face. It depends what depth we're going into too. Are we doing in-office treatments? Are we doing it at home? It just really depends.
Like lasers and stuff like that too? Not great.
Yeah, listen, there is a case for why some people need it. If there's deep acne damage and there is a tiny bit of resurfacing that needs to happen. Like there is a reason for these modalities. They're just being overused and abused by people that have generally good skin. So I think people do these things as a mechanism for anti-aging or preventative, or people are obsessing over their skin. And those are the people that should probably, stay away from it. But there's a case for why some people do need these modalities.
For anything. Yeah. So we talked about the pH. So what happens are there different signs and symptoms if you go too acidic or too alkaline?
So if you're too alkaline, you're going to be extremely dry because you have completely melted off your barrier. It's just not there. And then a host of things will happen because then your protective bacteria is no longer there. So if you have no acid mantle, your good bacteria is gone. guess what's able to thrive in alkalinity? Pathogenic bacteria. They thrive when it's alkaline. So if you're doing the most simple thing of just washing your face with soap or just a skincare product that is just too alkaline, you are immediately, and pathogens can just enter into the deeper layers of skin.
And that's just going to age you, or is there like other things that we're looking at here because of this?
Well, acne, inflammation,
psoriasis, eczema, right?
It depends on the person, but can have a host of different problems, sometimes coupled with different things. And because you lost all that moisture, it's the dry lines, it's the fine lines, it's the dryness. And then that's why women in their 60s and 70s are always like, I'm super dry. Well, they're not necessarily super dry. They've just lost that protective bacteria and the acid mantle.
I mean, that makes such sense because every woman goes through that. Like you could be completely oily skin and then it gets at least a little bit drier as you age. And that would be the reason why.
Yeah.
And it's common that anything's going to break down unless you're really starting to treat it. Does melasma, is that like because of this is too, or, you know, because
melasma is one of those things that, because I suffer from it too, it's just a bitch to get rid of.
Darn it.
It's a common. Yeah. No, I will say, like, I've been able to rehab my melasma through my products because the ferments do have a lightening effect. That's just one of the byproducts of them. But you know, melasma is a combination between sun damage, hormone imbalance. I mean, there's so many factors. Hereditary.
Yeah.
So it's hard. Sometimes just being in like hot yoga can cause melasma for some people. So it's for people that have it. It's a lifetime battle.
I just slid down in my chair.
I would say ferments, like the postbiotic ferments, they are rice water that we put out. Rice water is the base for all my products. I don't use any regular water. It completely brightens and lightens hyperpigmentation.
I love it. Well, let's get into your product breakdown. And, you know, maybe we can start with the demigod. It's an Ayurvedic oil cleanser. Can I say this? Okay. If you guys follow me on social media, you know that I loved the Elemis Balm cleanser. I love a good oil cleanser. I love this one more. Sorry, Elemis. It's so good because I look for something. I like something hydrating first. I use Victoria Beckham's mascara, and it's like a waterproof. Otherwise, I'd have like black lines underneath. So it just kind of balls off, but you have to have a good cleanser to get it off, right? And so that's how I know it's something that's like hydrating, but not goopy, and just removes all of the makeup. And it smells amazing. And what is it? Jasmine oil that's in it?
Jasmine oil, yeah.
It smells so good. Where is it?
Makeup for the other products that have ferments that smell not as great. So demigod. So the whole idea of the double cleanse, starting with an oil, is that you don't need an alcohol. So the reason most cleansers are alkaline is it needs to strip all that stuff off. And so an oil like attracts like. So it's able to, you can use it as a body moisturizer. You can use it on your face as a moisturizer. It's just the molecules on these oils are incredibly small, so the skin just sucks it in.
Look how it just blended. I'm just using it for everybody listening audio, just showing it visually as well.
Yeah, so I actually have people that buy it for their hair, actually.
Putting it in my hair.
It's like a multi-purpose oil, but the reason is to be able to remove that makeup very easy without having to do anything harsh. And then you can either remove that with a warm washcloth. You just lay that over your skin and let it steam it off, or you go to our second cleanse, and that's a waterless foamer. And the base for this is rice water. And it's rose water, and it's postbiotics and niacinamide, and and you can leave this on as a mask as well.
And that's what I've been doing. She gave me the little tip early on. So I love this. It's like a foam cleanse, guys. It's very light. I love using this as my second cleanse, like you're saying too, because it is so light. I feel like I get really, really clean, you know, honestly with either, but I like that combo normally. And, but I've been using it in the morning. So I love using this in the morning. So because I like some natural oils in my skin, I don't want to strip it too much all day. And so I use this as a mask, like you said, put it on when the skin is dry, which we were talking about. And then I hop in the shower and I just kind of start my process and wash it off. But
yeah, so those two really set the basis for skin health, because we've removed all the dirt and makeup and sunscreen with a very natural process. There's nothing stripping happening. And then, you know, the foamer also has postbiotics, so we're refeeding the skin. So now the canvas is set up with, all your barriers are completely intact. And then we can move on to the other, the final 2 products. And that really completes the system.
And that's what it's for powerhouse guys. Like, you just don't need much. When we met on Tuesday, I was like, do I have to use anything else over this? And you were like, you can to begin with, but you've been using this for years, and that's it. This is, and truly, if we train our skin this way, then that is all it needs. Like,
it is a training process. You made a really good point, because some people, because people are used to the quick fix. I say give this 30 days, and you really do start to, I would say across the board, most of my customers, they start receiving compliments from people around them. Across the board, I hear this. People are saying, what are you doing to your skin? Their doctors are saying, what are you doing to your skin? Even if they don't notice, because the changes start happening subtly, other people start to notice. It's like when you lose a few pounds, people are like, oh, you look great. That this is really the telltale sign of being on Editrix for a few weeks.
And I'm going to say this for you, because I'm sure you wouldn't say it for yourself, but like the elite of the elite who know everything about beauty, they're all using this brand, guys. Like, it's been just blowing up here, but it is still so quiet because these, it's so elite that a lot of these people don't share normally what they're using.
Thank you, Christine. Thank you for saying that. And it's
LA and New York, all the top celebs are on.
So I don't advertise. I don't do influencer marketing. I don't do any of that. I'm really just trying to build a very authentic community of people that are using it and love it and tell their friends. And that's really how the word's spreading. We're a year old, so we're babies. And I really believe in growing slowly and smartly. So,
I love it. Well, okay. So let's talk about the products other than the cleansers. There's super rare, super air.
Okay, when I named this product, I knew everyone would call it super rare, but it's actually a Latin word, and it's suprare.
Suprare, I really fudgile, that one.
And suprare in Latin means to overcome. So this is really the thing that's going to help you overcome your skin dysbiosis. And I have it here too.
I don't even want to waste it on my hand. I'm showing it. It's a spray.
So I tell people you spray in your hands and then press into skin. And so the thing that maybe we didn't mention, Christine, is that we're the first brand in the world that has taken beneficial human bacteria. We grow it in a lab through a purification process, and we ferment it. And that fermentation process of this bacteria produces hundreds of postbiotics. And these postbiotics are peptides, amino acids, protein, cell surface proteins. It's really the things that make your skin resilient that are artificially put into skincare, but we are taking what is actually in skin but lost on many people and putting it back into skincare.
So tell me, like, what is a postbiotic though?
So bacteria.
I never understand the difference between pre and post.
Okay, so maybe we should talk through like pro, and so a prebiotic is the food that your bacteria eats for energy. So in the gut, it's like an inulin, like a plant fiber for the gut, what gives good bacteria in your gut that energy. For the skin, it's your good bacteria really feeds off of the fatty acids of sweat. So what I do is I put prebiotics in Editrix, and I mimic that with olive squalene that really has a bioidentical sort of fatty acid component to it. So it's a good bacteria food. So that's a prebiotic. It's the food. So fuel source. A probiotic is a living bacteria. So if you hear of
adding the bacteria back to the skin that we sometimes then kill by accident.
No, the probiotic is just the living bacteria on your skin.
Oh, okay.
So I don't put any living bacteria in my products. And if there is a brand that says they have probiotics, it's a bit of a misnomer, because you cannot have a living bacteria in a skincare product with a preservative. The whole idea of a preservative is to kill the bacteria. So there is no probiotic skincare.
Okay.
What we really focus on and what really works is postbiotics. And postbiotics is the byproduct of the living bacteria. So that living is the metabolites. All that living bacteria is creating is their byproducts. And that byproduct is like skin gold. So
what is that? And I know you kind of went through, but now just so we have in reference to what is all of that it's creating, and that
postbiotics. I mean, it's like crazy. I mean, it's like 100. I'm literally, if you can see the printout of what's in these postbiotics, like if you see my ingredient list, it'll just list the bacteria we used.
Yeah.
That bacteria really represents hundreds of ingredients that come from that bacteria. And it's 100 of peptides and amino acids and things I can't even pronounce, but they're all just amazing. And the thing about it is it's in perfect proportion to what your skin needs. So your skin knows it needs this much lactic acid and this much amino acid. It's like another podcast I was in with a doctor, he called it the entourage effect. And I love that terminology because it is an entourage effect. So all these nutrients are in perfect proportion to each other. We're not isolating one amino acid and one peptide.
I love that. I'm just like kind of trying to pull that all in, the entourage.
I know it's a lot of science.
It's a lot of just how it uses and where we're goaling and life and all of that. I'm like, wait, this applies to so much stuff.
It really does.
But especially to what you're saying here and how so many other skincare brands, you're putting one thing, but if you have that one gold, it's everything else that it's offering too that's in yours.
Hundreds of things that we need. So I will say, Christine, like even when I developed this product, I did not realize the power of it because people are using this all over their bodies for intense healing that I had no idea. Like people are like healing their toe fungus with this and back acne. I mean, it really has the power to do so much because it's helping skin just come back into,
homeostasis.
Yeah. And so much of us is out of balance. So it powers the skin to self-heal.
Is there anything else that's in your products too that you want to mention?
So Suprare has the highest dose of niacinamide. So it has intense brightening. It has vitamin C. I have a lot of the just yummy skincare ingredients that we're all very familiar with to balance out some of these postbiotics. I also use a couple other postbiotics and I use a yeast. It's also a proprietary ingredient we created. So there's the yeast in, it's a byproduct of sake fermentation. It's called galactomyces, and it's incredibly anti-aging. Japanese have been using this for centuries. They've just known this is incredibly anti-aging. So we ferment this in a lab with Ayurvedic plants. And what that does is it breaks down the plant fibers so the molecules are more easily absorbable into the skin. So things like tiger grass and calendula are fermented with this galactomyces. So it's a really sophisticated, complex system of fermentation using bacteria and yeast and skincare ingredients. And it's really this powerhouse. And it's why it has such a transformational effect so quickly.
It's amazing. And you're utilizing the top things of so many cultures and things that have been used for generations and generations, which is great. So we know that it works.
Well, I call it ancient intelligence because we're using the ancient intelligence of bacteria and herbs and plant medicine and all of it.
I love it. So then you have Bakterium delirium.
So Bakterium delirium has all that amazing stuff that Suprare has. But in addition, we have the bakuchiol, which is the retinol alternative. I have alpha arbutin, which is it's a skin lightener. It's a plant-based skin lightener. I have tons of ceramides in here in the form of vitamin F and squalene. So it's sort of just, I say it's a skin education serum because it just re-educates the skin on like how to function again. And it starts to build up that barrier. And I really say you don't need much more. If you've been on this for a while and you start to build up your barrier, you can really stop with the serum because the serum's quite hydrating. Or you can use the oil on top of the serum as the last step.
Oh, interesting. I mean, I've been applying this on my hand, guys, on the video stuff. My hand is so soft. It's crazy. And I try so many skincare brands, but it's just like so supple in a different way. It's not like the skincare, like you can tell,
It has like a velvety sort of finish, I think.
Yeah. But I love that, applying the oil. It's funny because from the time I was in college, my mom worked for La Prairie. So I had all 4 La Prairie eye creams and I was applying all 4 eye creams because it's like, well, more is better.
Yeah.
Same thing still last year it was just like I probably had at least 6 skincare products I was putting on because it's like, this probably has something really good, but maybe this does too. And this and this. But I love this and trying to simplify it. And that's what I've been utilizing. It is, your skin is so hydrated with so very little.
Well, as I was formulating, Christine, I knew like the ferments were really the cornerstone of the formulation. But then I tried to take the best of the best of like, okay, what do we really need? We need a little bit of skin lightening. We need a little bit of anti-aging. We need ceramides. Like I really just tried in a very minimalist way to give us the best of the best.
I love ceramides. I'm so glad to know that that's in there too. I'm drinking my ceramides right now. Trying to build up.
What is this?
It's our KO collagen in there, but we have ceramides in it too.
I love it.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about sunscreen too, and I saw an article. You have a great blog, very educational on your website as well. Sunscreen, is it friend or foe? What do you think?
I get in trouble for saying this. In my opinion, it's foe.
You're allowed to have an opinion though.
Yeah. So listen, is the sun great for us? In mini doses, yes. Do I go out and lay in the sun? Absolutely not. I wear hats. I'm just not in the sun. I really practice avoidance. But I do think sunscreen gives people a false impression of protection. So many on the market actually have ingredients that decimate our microbiome, actually cause more harm. On the extreme end can be, cancer causing, some of these chemical ingredients. Some of them, if we're not even talking about the chemicals for the sunscreen, they even have just things like dimethicones and petrolatoms and just ingredients that even these top brands, I just don't understand why they're there. So I would just say the ones on the market, I'm not loving. And I'm sure there's one, I don't know every sunscreen brand. So please don't tell me,
here's this one out there. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Some people to understand, like the dimethicone, it helps to make it really smooth. It's like the ones where you're like, oh my God, this goes on and I can't even see it.
Like, oh my God,
so there's other things in there.
There's a silicone sitting on your skin, which is why it feels so great, but it's also, suffocating the skin. So
yeah. So then what, and does sunscreen that's going to break down your epidermal barrier? I mean, I guess the chemicals will definitely break down your barrier, right?
People are just reapplying it, and then they're going into and then there's just, because they have the sunscreen, they're spending time in the sun because they think they have this protection, and we just don't really know how much protection you're really getting. So my rule of thumb that I try to say is, if you're going to put sunscreen on, just choose a mineral-based one versus a chemical one. But even, I just read a study last month that they tested even the mineral-based sunscreens for effect on the microbiome, and even zinc oxide had a detrimental effect on your microbiome. So I'm like, damn, now I'm like the ones that I'm even saying, but titanium dioxide actually was fine. So if you can find a sunscreen that purely just has that one mineral, then you're better off. I don't know if one exists with just that one.
Yeah. I mean, even that's really interesting because I've been hearing this a little bit more. So you're not alone in your opinion. And so it was something that I was just testing out too, because normally I would put the SPF on first and then makeup, or, every single day. It was just like a non-negotiable. And it probably lasts for as long as 20, 30 minutes. And I'm outside way long after that because I'm working all morning.
100%.
But so now I just haven't been applying it, but I've been wearing hats like you're saying and just covering up a lot more. And just seeing what it's doing to my melasma, my skin, like if it's effective, or putting it on once on the weekend if I'm definitely going to be out with the kids a lot, but covering up as well.
Yeah, I think, I think we've been brainwashed a little bit to, sunscreen. So women and men will put it on, brush their teeth, do their thing, and sunscreen, and all day wearing sunscreen, even if they're not really outside. Or I think it's also overused, and that's my opinion. It's just an opinion.
Can the skin, if you have a really healthy skin microbiome and epidermal layer, can it help? It's going to protect you a bit too, correct?
It does offer you some protection, not 100%, but your bacteria release a biofilm that actually does mitigate some of the damage from UV radiation. We don't talk about some of the natural things that do give you some sun protection, like rice bran oil, which I also have in my product. So Bakterium delirium has a high percentage of rice bran oil, which has vitamin E, and that has been proven to mitigate a lot of the damage. So if you really go down a rabbit hole, there's a lot of very natural things, tomato paste, if you want to, there's a lot of things that actually can help you with.
Yeah. My kids would be like, Mom, what are you doing?
Eating tomato, you can get the lycopene that you even ingest helps offer some protection.
Interesting.
Yeah.
My little one loves cherry tomatoes, so she's white. So she is getting some sun protection, much needed sun protection. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, that was a wealth of information. I hope, everybody's really enjoyed that. And, it's you don't have to make an extreme change, right? I am slowly processing this out, really loving this brand, because listen listen to Dahlia. I mean, she knows her stuff. That's the thing. It's just like, you know your stuff. You're making everything that's in there instead of like pinpointing it from China or here or there and pulling these ingredients in. Her sister's like a leading expert in this as well. So female founded, such a cool family team for both of you. Also, there's one quote you had on your website, which I have to share with everybody. I love it so much. The greater luxury we own is our wellness. It exudes beauty. It transmits transcendence as our bodies are our temple. It is our dance with the divine. That was divine. You're divine.
Yeah, they're words I really live by. I think we just protect what we have.
Yeah, I love that. And that's what this is all about. Editor founded Editrix.
Editrix. Thank you, Christine.
Editrix.
Thank you so much. It was so lovely to be on. I really appreciate the time and just getting to know the brand and the education behind it. It's a lot, I know.
Thank you, Dahlia. Yeah, but we have to know this. So you guys can find it at editrixwellness.com. For her website, the social media is at Editrix Wellness. And you can also find Dahlia at dahlia.devkota. All of it is listed in the feed here and for your spelling. And thank you all for tuning in. And thank you, Dahlia. I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. Make sure you're subscribed and feel free to share this with a friend who needs to hear it. Have questions you need answered? Text me at 1-310-361-8697. Make sure you're following me on social at Christine Bullock and have a healthy, happy week. See you next time.